Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, who looks like a creation from the Koch brothers labs, sort of, we say like corn syrup come to life. He's a extraordinarily extremist far-right figure, Koch-backed guy, like pretty much all of them are. But it's just important to note that when even this guy, this sort of, extremist house guy has ascended to the heights.
When you come from the Koch brothers house district and then you're put in the positions of power that Pompeo is, it's time to get concerned a little bit.
Yeah. But of course, I'm sure the Kochs are super concerned about the Trump administration because I deplore racism, say. It's not like I've been funding racist, literally discriminatory efforts for decades, going back to James Buchanan, say. I really don't like the racism. Anytime a libertarian tells you they don't like the racism, say, you're not very bright.
Do you like inheritances from the racism times?
Right. Do you like the idea of doing anything about the racism? Do you support policies that codify it?
How about the structures the racism put in place?
Or the structures that feed the racism.
Well, that's not a thought experiment. None of that is thought experiment-based thinking, which is where liberty comes from. Mike Pompeo is in Saudi Arabia because, of course, we have a classic whodunit on our hands. We do know, and we have known for years, both the Obama administration and the Trump administration, whodunit in terms of mass murder in Yemen, and it's also us. We're accomplices in the crime. But whodunit of the interrogation and murder of Jamal Khashoggi. So here's what we know. It's important to re-review this because this isn't just taking Turkish reports at face value. This is, we have CCTV footage of Jamal Khashoggi goes into the Saudi embassy, the Saudi consulate, and doesn't leave. And then we have the surveillance footage of that team that came from Saudi, including a DNA expert. So that's what we know. Supposedly the Saudis have been preparing, and they're putting out the story that this was an interrogation gone wrong, which
like a Coen Brothers situation.
Right. It was a very Coen Brothers situation. And I mean, I guess in the strict, they're pretty much they're like, yeah, we tortured him and we're interrogating him. We were going to abduct him, and then I guess somebody got a little overly frisky and murdered him.
See, I told you there was an innocent explanation.
I told you there was an innocent explanation. They're obviously, literally right now as we speak, if they haven't decided already, figuring out who's expendable here. And no doubt MBS felt comfortable doing this in the context of a Trump presidency. Donald Trump calls the press the enemy of the people all the time. MBS is just following his lead. But here's Mike Pompeo in Saudi Arabia, and there's an interesting accidental word choice in this clip, but of course you can tell as representative of the Trump team, they're really serious about getting to the bottom of the murder of Jamal Khashoggi.
Sir, did they tell you what happened to Jamal Khashoggi?
Told me they were going to conduct a thorough, complete, transparent investigation. They made a commitment to hold anyone connected to any wrongdoing that may be found accountable for that, whether they are a senior officer or official. They promised accountability for each of those persons whom they determine as a result of their investigation deserves accountability.
Including a member of the royal family?
They made no exceptions to who they would hold accountable. They were very clear. They understand the importance of this issue.
That was implied.
They're determined to get to the bottom of it, and that they will conduct the report, and we'll all get a chance to see it. They each promised that they would achieve that for us.
And did they say that Mr. Khashoggi is alive or dead?
I don't want to talk about any of the facts. They didn't want to either, and that they want to have the opportunity to complete this investigation in a thorough way. And I think that's a reasonable thing to do, to give them that opportunity, and then we'll all get to judge.
Right. So they want an opportunity to figure out what their core cover story is for the abduction and murder of this guy, the detention of him in a consulate. And I will say, given MBS's record and his moves against rival members of the royal family, I would not be surprised if he feels comfortable with other members of the royal family being held accountable for this. I would definitely chalk that as extremely plausible that MBS could probably think of several cousins that he would be down with pinning this on. The trouble is, for him, in terms of covering this up, is that Jamal Khashoggi and other people on the Hill in Washington had connections to other members of the royal family who were rivals of this guy. So that might be hard to do that. But
MBS says, I don't control these guys.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was Gavin McInnes.
Right, exactly. Like, we started it. It's a thing. It's called the monarchy. Started it hundreds of years ago. It's like a club. And we have the royal sites. And but, if people kill blasphemers, I don't, that's just my army and intelligence service. I don't run them. I'm a reformer. This is a picture of Mike Pompeo and MBS. This is about their 4th date. And they are, I will say, MBS really does. He's got a winning smile.
I can't tell who has more butterflies in their stomach.
Yeah. I like how,
Caught in a red bromance.
I love how, like, the Saudis are, like, the only Muslims that these guys don't hate. They're like, we would be completely loathe Muslims, period. But just the Saudi monarchy, man. They're good guys.
They're great.
So-
Someone pointed out to me the other day that MBS is a millennial,
Mm-hmm. He's only 33 or 34.
which makes sense because millennials do tend to murder things and people. Right?
There's-
What?
Oh my God.
The-
Be killing.
They're-
That did
Oh, they'd
not
be
land.
killing it.
Well-
Oh, okay.
well,
Yeah, got you.
Millennials
Got
are
you. Got
killing journalists.
They also murdered Joe Crowley's career, apparently. That's what he's saying. But this is the sound I hear when I see this picture. Do you want to go to the picture just quickly, Brendan?
Yeah.
That's copyright.
Just 3 seconds, but you get the joke.
I like this. That is like, I like how they really are. They're like, no, we're not even gonna do. Let's not even pretend to have. Let's not even pretend to have the photo op where I look like gravely concerned about you clipping, torturing, murdering, and dismembering. I mean, I'm sorry. And if kids are listening, and they probably already shouldn't have been listening to this if they're really young, but like, let's just outline that for a second. The Turkish police version of this story, which they have the video surveillance evidence, which everybody sees, supports this, as well as the testimony of Jamal Khashoggi's former fiance, who has been very brave and aggressive on this, is that he walks into the consulate, is detained, tortured, murdered, and then cut up into pieces and driven out in a van. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to put too far. I mean, I guess like on some level, like to kill somebody is to kill somebody, but like
Premeditation.
that is a rat in a fucking consulate. That's like where, people go to update their friggin' passport pictures. I mean, he was going there to basically just take care of some domestic business because he was getting remarried. And they tortured him and they chopped his body up. Like, I mean, I'm not even going to do a movie analogy because it actually is tasteless. Like, that's literally what they did. And this is the outcome of that. It's like hey, man, how's it going? It's impunity. That's global authoritarianism. That is the Trump era.
Typical millennial entitlement.
He's really trying to turn us into a millennial bit.
Millennial bin Salman.
Millennials like Mom, Mom, why can't I kill Jamal Khashoggi? My dad has killed all the dissidents. There is no dissidents for me to kill. Why did the baby boomers kill all the dissidents? There wasn't an opportunity for us to kill the dissidents. Well, as Thomas Friedman would say, he had a dark side, including millennial entitlement.
And some balls, as Thomas Friedman would also say.
Yeah, and if you're willing to have the balls to chop up Jamal Khashoggi, you know what? Fuck it.
If you have a New York Times subscription, cancel it, folks.
Indeed. Support something that needs support and is actual resistance.